You always just gotta attack it when defend it.
I think it's like
Are we live? People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope everyone's doing well and safe. I hope everyone's in good spirits. I hope everyone's filled with energy on this Monday morning. Well, it's a Monday morning where I'm concerned in the UK. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night to wherever you lot are in this world. You know, as I said, this Monday, you know, hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you all had a great week last week. Hope you all have an even better week this week. You know, I hope you lot achieve whatever dreams, hopes, goals, and aspirations you have. As usual, for those of you going through adversity, I hope you get through it. You know, the fact that we're breathing is a chance to do something different. We can't do any of that without, you know, health, obviously. So I'd like to assume, and better yet, I hope that everybody listening is in good health in all aspects of the word. Obviously, I want to extend that to your loved ones as well, people. Now, throughout the course of this live stream, you know, get your opinions and whatnot in. I need you lot to do one thing or a couple of things. Make sure you're subscribing and hitting the like button if you haven't. 5 p.m. we move over to Twitch Q&A business. So again, questions, get them in. In fact, on the YouTube community tab, I've asked you questions and you lot have just left me hanging. All of you lot did me dirty. Not a single soul said anything. So that's cool. We can cancel it. You know, I got other things I could be doing with the 5 p.m.s as well. But it is what it is. So yeah, as usual, I'm appreciative to have, you know, DG Nation and whatnot. You lot always supporting. So yeah, shout out to you lot. We're gonna speak about Raheem Sterling, talk about this FIFA case, you know, speak about we've been linked with FEKIR even. Touch on, because I didn't do a tactical review and I'll cut it out from this video and upload it, but we'll touch on Brighton and whatnot, people. So yeah, decent amount to go through, man. Decent amount to go through. Man said, morning, DG. I ain't messing with your blue steak, though. You can't, you're not even allowed to run a joke again. Listen, do I look like someone who is going to ever get a medium rare steak, let alone blue? I just a sense of humor, man. Do you know how many people been on to me in the DMs, DG? How you getting a blue steak? Come on, man. I ain't doing none of that, man. Tough, well done all the time. A man said, how are there already two dislikes? Kisan, it's always the same case, man. You know, it's two weirdos, but let them hit the dislike button. Let's hit that like button and just crush them, man. You know, haters never prosper, so let them do their thing. Raheem Sterling is too good for us, and I wouldn't want to spend my prime career if I was someone like Raheem Sterling playing for England, winning stuff at PSG, at Arsenal. I don't know if he'll go anywhere else. I don't know who would buy him, but I wouldn't, because yeah, you could be a leader of a squad, but the mentality isn't to move forward as a football club from top to bottom. Yeah, we've got 10 points from a possible 12, but yeah, I wouldn't want to waste my prime here, no matter how much I rock with Arteta and all of these sort of things, people. You know, Abdullah is saying we want 70 million for Sterling, otherwise no deal. My word. Sterling done a job when he came on yesterday. Not gonna lie, I did think he offered good runs in which they needed, and I'll touch on that again tomorrow. I think 9 or 10 a.m. UK time, I'm going to do a Premier League review show where we'll touch on the Premier League in a more general point and any talking points that obviously come around from now till tomorrow. That's also going to be on Twitch. Again, people, make sure you're following and subscribing on Twitch and you're hitting your reminders. And unlike YouTube, you can actually you know, check a schedule. So I can tell you when I'm actually going live, like Football Managers on Thursday, Friday, for example. Big up DG, don't leave YouTube. Again, people misunderstanding me. Big up the Bulgarians locked in. We're just building up Twitch. We're not going anywhere. You know, we go all the way to Twitch and they say Twitch is not doing anything. Now, where are we? The same with YouTube. As I said, it was a brainchild, really, when YouTube were having issues around you lot watching content and for us creators uploading it. So if YouTube goes down, where are we? I might not have the same amount of followers / subscribers on Twitch, but at least there's a base and whatever next platform comes out. So yeah, man, we're still here to stay, but we're diversifying content as even this week, people. You know, I think there's Italy versus, I don't know, I think it's Italy, Spain, and I think it's Belgium, France. But those two games on Wednesday and Thursday, I'll be doing a watch along for it, but that will be over on Twitch. So if you're not on Twitch, I can't help you. You know, so shout out to everyone. Top of the morning, back to you, my dude. You know, again, you lot make this what it is. I think everyone's well aware of what Raheem Sterling has done at Manchester City. You know, they said he was overpriced at 50 million. You know, is what it is. England price is overrated. You get better quality in the Euro market for sterling wages. Generally, yeah, look at the man in the graphic, not to draw him out because he had a good game against Brighton. 50 million for Ben White. It might be money well spent, like you see with Sterling in times that came from his transfer from Liverpool to City. But they could have probably at the time spent better value for money than Sterling, and we could have probably done so with Ben White. As long as he, there's a means to an end, I guess it's not an issue. Yes, on the blue stake DG2 True Card. Hey, you're by yourself, man. I just was popping the joke, but I'm not really too big of a stake fan, man. Man said there's more of a chance of Sterling representing the Reggae Boys than playing for Arsenal, which is near enough impossible. So that factors in Arsenal, really and truly. Young players could only learn from Sterling. Of course, young players could only learn from Raheem Sterling. In fact, we might as well just quickly go over that one first because we started off. Of course, Raheem Sterling's got a bag of experience. Before you talk about playing for Liverpool or Manchester City, winning Premier League titles or playing for your country, other things they could learn from, I would say coping with pressure. From 15, 16, the lad went from QPR to Liverpool, highly speculated on. It was quite frankly done dirty by Brendan Rodgers, etc., when he left Liverpool and how he was held to the press. Well documented what he was doing at QPR. They said he's a flop, this, that, and the other with City. There's always something. Raheem Sterling goes and visits his mum's yard in St. Raphael's, and somebody gets stabbed. They're gonna say it's Raheem Sterling's fault because he dared to have been grown up there. So he responds very well to adversity. Arsene Wenger tried to get Raheem Sterling years ago with Liverpool. You remember when it was gonna be a swap in Walcott for him? I would say with Sterling and Johnny Evans at the time, Wenger wanted to do it. Arsenal fans didn't want to hear it. So yeah, I think there's a bag of experience, Raheem Sterling. How to cope with the pressures of being a young player, how to respond to adversity. Obviously, he's experienced. He's a goal scorer. He's got fantastic movements. He walks into our side. Our left wing, we do kind of change it. It's a bit of flavor of the month stuff. Like right now, with Smith Rose, it will probably be Martinelli's at some point. Saka/Pepe might move over there again. You might see Aubameyang shoehorned over there, depending on if Laka gets his chance. I think Raheem Sterling gives us a bit of confirmation. Yes, he's worked with Arteta and done all of these things, but beyond that, I can't see it happening. Even if Arsenal could find the pennies to rub against each other to afford Raheem Sterling, and we got that former employee discount, or Arteta hollers one of his brethren that still works at City and is able to unlock a discount code, it's still going to be a pretty penny financially and a transfer fee. And for me, there's no point doing that if you're not going to move serious, because you're going to sign Sterling. You need to sign a midfielder or whatever, because you're not going to have you're not going to make Sterling's time worth it. And on top of that, as I said earlier, why would you want to spend your prime years at, he's 26, Arsenal's rebuild is what? Let's hope for 2 years. It's about maybe, 3 would be conservative, 2 to 4 years. Well, how old is Sterling then? He's 30, which is good. Again, it's good for Saka, Smith Rowe, and all of these guys, but time's running out. If you can, and again, I don't know if it can happen because it seems like there's priorities, you're better off going to the handful of clubs, with City. Again, the return to Liverpool isn't really going to work, but a return to Liverpool, I don't picture him playing at PSG or Real Madrid. I'd love to see it, but Barca, these sort of clubs there's no point really and truly. So I don't think it's going to be a thing because it's not going to be worth Sterling's while, and we're just going to waste money not on Sterling, but it's like we bought Mesut Ozil and then you're moving iffy with finding a striker. Historically, finding a defensive mid, what's the point? If you buy a PS5, there's no point moving iffy about buying a controller or buying a game or whatever. You're not going to see the full potential of the product in that really. Sterling could actually he could probably play up front. The hold up play is not quite there, but he probably could play up front for Arsenal Football Club. And again, he could be a leader. But beyond all that, Tosh, hit the like button, by the way, people. It's not going to happen, is it? If we're real with ourselves, it isn't going to happen. And this rumor comes about every so often. We know Raheem Sterling's quote unquote in contract talks, or him and City are trying to find a resolution into relation to signing a new deal. Arsenal plotting Raheem Sterling transfer raid as Mikel Arteta hunts Man City deal. Boss Mikel Arteta, Arsenal boss, is apparently keen to land Manchester City forward Raheem Sterling, people. As you know, allegedly, he's no longer an automatic pick and down the pecking order at the Etihad. Now, anyone who doesn't play one game, such as the quality for those City players, it's always going to be a bit of a madness. Just the other week, Foden, joint man of the match. I don't believe in it, but you know, joint man of the match yesterday. Just a couple of weeks ago, he wasn't. How's he gonna get game time and all of these sort of things? For Raheem Sterling, I mean, he's been there for a while, and at 26, do you want to try something else? It seems like, you know, you look at Laporte, you know, Bernardo Silva, quite a bunch of Manchester City players are considering exits. Maybe they feel that, you know, that's all they can and they want to try other stuff. But you know, we know Sterling has worked with Arteta before. Apparently, he's got an excellent relationship. It's going to take a lot more to that, people. It's then gone on to speak about the fact that he started only 7 of the final 12 Premier League games as Guardiola's men stormed the title. And I mean, 7 of 12 games. I don't think that's bad considering the options they have. And if you're not doing the business really and truly, we know he also had a good Euros and showed, man, what quality he has. Apparently, he's only started 2 Premier League games this term, and it is, you know, especially in a World Cup year. I mean, John Stones has been up and down in terms of his career. If I'm honest with you, at Man City, and right now because of Laporte and obviously Dyer's form, he's probably not going to get in there. So again, this is just a nonsense rumor. Again, we know Sterling is into contracts over negotiations of a new deal. We don't know what his wages are saying, but one thing's for sure, I don't know anything. You know, miracles can happen, but I can never see Raheem Sterling signing for Arsenal Football Club. We've got too many wingers to be looking at Sterling. Centre mid is priority. Trevor, I agree with you. Midfield is a priority. I'd think 2 midfielders. And generally, I am happy with the depth that we have in the flanks, if anything. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I would be open to another winger because I'm open for Smith Rowe and Odegaard playing together. But sometimes you need directness. And I just think there's an opportunity there, really and truly. If not Sterling, someone else, man. Sterling's not going to join, man. Anything can happen, but again, I'm sure he would listen, but it's not a serious one, man. Sterling may be another Willian on our hands. He won't have the hunger to fight for Arsenal. I don't think that's quite the same because he's 26 versus 30 odd. Bernardo just doesn't like the weather in England, and Laporte wanted game time. We're giving him game time. We've got too many. Well, I've already brought that up. Good replacement for Ober on that left. Oh, he's more of an out-and-out winger. Let's be real. If Arsenal don't get European football, Sterling ain't coming. I think in theory you could put the money down, but I mean, no European football. You're not one of the strongest teams in the league. You're not competing for things. There's other reasons to sign for a football club. You know, he's been away from London for a while. That could obviously be helpful, but it's a myth. You know, we know Sterling was allegedly, you know, Sterling, Gab Jesus, but even Bernardo Silva, a couple of these names were floated to Spurs in relation to seeing what they could do over Harry Kane. South London has said, I do think we could do with another winger in the summer, but Sterling is a myth. For me, if you could get a wide forward, obviously Mohamed Salah, you can't go and grab that. But if you could get someone that could be a talisman like that, or better yet for Arsenal and Alexis Sanchez, I'm on that. I can't lie to you. Same way, I would like another striker. I would like someone that's going to be the replacement for Aubameyang. Aubameyang can fight or be used on the left, but we've got that guy. Obviously, Lacazette's going to leave. You know, Balogun can score as many under-23s games as he wants until he gets a prolonged opportunity in the first team or goes on loan somewhere. I don't know his levels. There could be many twists and turns where Eddie Nketiah is concerned, but I have to assume, like Lacazette, because of the contract, unless I'm told different, you're keeping it moving. Project Martinelli needs to get going, but it looks like that project's been really deaded off before it's even got an opportunity to start. So that's that where Raheem Sterling is concerned, people. But the good news, you know, we've had one recycled rumor. We've got another one. Apparently, Arsenal could reportedly reignite their interest in Real Betis playmaker Nabil Fekir following his impressive start to the season. The 28-year-old, who has chipped in with 2 goals and as many assists in 9 games in all comps, is tied down until 2023. So in the summer, Betis are going to have a decision to make over the 28-year-old. Apologies. Do they stick or twist? Do they keep him or do they sell him? You know, I'm sure, you know, he harbors hopes of returning to a team in Europe, and well, which Betis obviously are, but I'm sure Champions League, in which Arsenal aren't. Obviously, ironically, it's a World Cup year, so quite the moment to hit form for the World Cup winner. And off topic, I'm sure, did you not see Bellerin give the ball away in the build-up to Jandruma scoring for Villarreal against Betis? And to be fair, I'm not watching Betis all the time, but it don't look like you're the first choice right back. It's looking like Montoya's ahead of you at this moment in time. Now, I don't really care because Hector Bellerin isn't part of Arsenal anymore. But I mean, you look at Bellerin, you look at Torreira, these sort of guys, they're contracted until 2023. Whether these options that are included in their deals are taken by their clubs depends on the form, really and truly, because they're going to all return with a year left. And I just hope that they've played well enough so that if their parent clubs, I mean, they're temporary, they're step parent clubs because they're on loan at this moment, doesn't want to keep them, then we can do stuff. But, you know, we've been linked with FEKIR. Betis are understood to be keen to hand fresh terms to him, obviously, but apparently a Spanish publication has claimed he could be tempted to depart in 2022. Apparently the player is on the radar of Arsenal as well as West Ham and Everton. Now, with Odegaard and Smith Rowe's emergence, I'm not really sure. Now, of course, FEKIR can play as a 10. In time, I think he could probably play deeper in midfield as he, you know, gets to the last phase of his career. But, you know, he can play as a 10, play on either flank, play up front, but I don't think it's a player Arsenal are going to look for. For me, I want a number 8. If we are to sign somebody, can we sign someone that's significantly better? Like, I rate FEKIR very highly. You know, I still want him at the Emirates, but is he undoubtedly clear of what Martin Odegaard? Pardon me, is it, you know, he can come in and do things, but is he clear of Odegaard? He's clearly better than Smith Rowe at this moment in time, but Smith Rowe's developing. You know, if we're going to bring in these sort of guys, for me, they have to be super players, and he's a very good player. You know, I'm sure Lacazette could do a lot. Actually, he could help with the pressing. He has got that X factor about him. I would be open to it, but I don't really see. It's not that it's a square peg in a round hole. I just don't really see, not the use. The use isn't the right term, but if you was to sign an 8 in midfield, I could say, yeah, all right, cool. If you was to sign someone significantly better, I could say, all right, cool, the situation is there. He's a good player. He'll fit in. He fits in. I need a couple guys that can stand out now, if that makes sense. So that's where FEKIR is concerned, people. So, yeah, man, recycled rumours are us in this transfer, in relation to Arsenal's transfer news, people. So, again, I can't see these things happening, but, you know, if that's what you wish, it could. Please make sure we're hitting the like button if we haven't already, people. Tough crowd, tough crowd. We're at 63 likes. Rather go for Isaac in January, but I don't know. Now he signed a new contract. You know, it's going to be tough in the summer, let alone letting him go mid-season. Anything can happen, but where Arsenal's concerned, you probably have to go for Isaac in the summer if you are to have any chance. You're not going to get it done in January. So it is what it is, man. Another rumour circulated to Arsenal and Chelsea is Lorenzo Insigne as unrealistic as Sterling. I think we've got to leave that one alone. Sanjo, I hope you're good. Kareem Adeyemi, for me, I prefer him up front / on the right, but he can play on the left, on the right, through the middle. He's left-footed. People forget this. Gab Jesus is keeping Mars out the team, and Gab Jesus has been kept out the team himself. You're never going to be happy being an attacking player at Manchester City unless you make yourself a Kevin De Bruyne or at a time what you saw with Sterling or at a time what you saw with Foden where you can't be dropped. It's one of them things. Ruben Dias the same. Previously, Fernandinho. Make yourself undroppable because everyone can play. Everyone's going to be unhappy. You know, there's only 38 games in the league. Man City are in every cup. So there's a lot of cups and a lot of games. But again, there's not enough games to keep everyone happy, really. And for City, at least they live to fight another day, if I'm completely honest with you. You know, 2 wins in their last 3 in all comps. Big wins against well, no, I'm capping. You know, a win, draw, loss. So it's not the best of it's not the worst, really. You know, lost to PSG, fair play, Messi factor on top of everything. Obviously, with that being stated, you know, they did beat Chelsea. Could have won, could have also lost against Liverpool. And Liverpool could say the same as well. Fantastic, you know, 4 goals in that 2-2 draw. Keep the comments coming, people. Interesting comments nonetheless. DG, what do you think about Rafael Leao? Scored yet again last night versus Atalanta. I preed the game. Good goal scorer. Like what I've seen in Europe and I've seen for AC Milan so far. Obviously, he's been on the scene for a minute. In my opinion, we miss Bellerin going forward. You're clearly on Bants this early in the morning. Bellerin going forward. Unless it's strutting his stuff on Paris on Paris Fashion Week and them things there. It's a madness. Absolute madness. But yeah, Rafael's doing his thing. Moving away from all of that, though, folks. Moving away from all of that. I actually want to go over Arsenal Brighton quickly as well, because it's going to be the longest segment of this. So I think it's time to just go over that really quickly, really now. Now, against Brighton, obviously Arsenal, we're lucky to get a point in it. Like, we're lucky, you know. Brighton, I would say, if I was Graham Potter, I think they were excellent in everything they could be asked, apart from finishing. You know, they should have scored. You know, again, I don't know who's fit, who's injured, who's this and that, But considering that, you know, it's a big game against an Arsenal team that's found form, both teams are in a decent health and no one wants to lose. I think they, you know, they outdone us tactically, but where Brighton's concerned, I'm sure Graham Potter would say, you know, we need to learn how to put the ball into the back of the net. But if I scroll down, where Arsenal's concerned beyond the obvious, I'm going to say positives. When you can't win, don't lose. Now, there's a lot of improvements to make in that Arsenal team. A lot of improvements. And I don't think it was perfect. And like I said, if Brighton could finish just like against Spurs, the landscape of our last two games could have been completely different. But shoulda, woulda, coulda, while it's something to consider and build upon, it's not a fact. And facts are, we weren't playing poor. We weren't poor, but we were sloppy. We were second best. We didn't win our first and second battles. We were lackluster. We didn't really play with the application we did at the Emirates. And really on the road, I know we beat Burnley, but I'm looking at this game. I'm looking at Brentford, where two teams that are up for it and buzzing. It's not that we were bad, we struggled in it, so there's a lot to learn. But when you can't win, don't lose. You know, we got away with a point. There's times where we would probably lose that game by a handsome scoreline, as we probably should have in that first half, but we didn't really. You know, we walked away. I did think there was fight. I did think there was grit. I do think clearly it became clear it's not our day. Players are not going to shine too much individually. You know, it's a wet and windy day. You have to compete for the first and seconds. Certain players, you know, Tomiyasu's been riding high. It was a tough day, and I think he was quite poor watching the game again. You know, his throw-ins as well. I think we gifted the ball away to the opposition a lot, but considering that, we walked away with something. And I think out of a possible 12 from our last 4 games, fans need to keep some perspective. Again, we could have done better, and this is where two truths can live in the same realm. We could have done better. We should have done better. There's many things we could have done better to maybe get more of a positive result. But let's be real, potential 12 points from, you know, 10 points from a potential 12. Come on now, let's keep some perspective. That's definitely where Arsenal are. And I would say this game, quote unquote, brings everybody connected to Arsenal, from the fans to the players, whatever, back down to earth, because there was a lot of things that we need to work on beyond the obvious that I've just stated. But also, while we need to, you know, for me, we need to work on a singular way of playing. We need to really look at our identity. We haven't got that. Arteta is finally showing us some stability in the lineup, who he's using, etc., etc. But the same token of that, in the Premier League, you can't just play the same way. So right now, we need to lock down one singular way of playing, but we also need to know when to make changes. Now, again, going into that game, everybody who started against Brighton deserved to start. It's as simple as that. They turned it on against Spurs. Xhaka's fit. Xhaka probably deserves to start. He probably would have given us a bit more in midfield, not to say he was needed to win, because it's always the one that isn't involved. But this is where now we need to learn. Brighton are not the same as against Spurs. Away against Brighton is different. We're going into a back three. Could we have went up with 2 up front? Could we have went with, while Smith Rowe was amazing? And I do think there's going to be games you're going, as I always said, you need one of Odegaard or one of Smith Rowe or both. I think that game in reflection, yeah, Odegaard presses and whatnot, but it became clear that maybe Arteta had to bite the bullet. It's either Odegaard or Smith Rowe, one of them on the bench. You go with maybe a Pepe and Saka, or you pull a Bamian through, you pull a Bamian to the left, you bring on Lacazette for a game like this where you need a physical man. Or for me, I probably would have changed to a back three and gone 2 up front, because I do think, and I'll show it tactically in a second, as much as a Bamian may or may not have been poor, it's stick or twist, because you're playing against 3 centre halves. That you can't press alone. They're going to pass around you. Brighton can play ball. They're going to pass around you. You can't physically outdo them. There was occasions where he was on the last man, and I think he could have stayed on side for a lovely pass. Partey found him, but you're not going to get too much of that. And as you can see, Arteta favours holding the shape. Definitely against Brighton. You could see 11 men behind the ball. Odegaard doing that support striker sort of pressing off the ball with Aubameyang. If we're going to do that, then the back three is going to have nothing, where their back three is going to have no problem. Where obviously, if you go with a Laka and a Aubameyang, make them press, make them be aggressive, you get your 3 men in midfield like Brighton had, it was an issue, because I think Arteta lost the tactical battle. He did lose the tactical battle. There's, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We found a bit of form. I'm not going to say if you switched it to a 3 and we were shaky, we might be sitting there and having that conversation as well. But this is where we need to know when to rotate and when to change things and bring certain people in, because we're playing a team that's very good tactically, very good technically, significantly more experienced than our average age of 22, 23. And I think it showed. Lallana in the middle, that Mulder brother in the middle, Pascal Gross in the middle, Coriella again, because we're not asking much of that back three, specifically the centre halves. Coriella's just going forward. As you know, in a back three, the fullbacks are gonna pull forward. I think we could have done better with Mark Coriella on the left, Veltman on the left, on the right as well, because obviously Smith Rowe, for me, man of the match from an Arsenal perspective, ran the show. But his skill set, and I know he popped up all over the field and made some bursting runs, but primarily he's gonna come quite narrow. He's narrow. We're narrow on the other side. We're narrow as a team. You can see how their fullbacks are going to stay high, stay wide, and lo and behold, they had a lot of joy, really and truly. And you've got an experienced midfield. You've got Tossart, who's for me playing like a devil. A real devil. And I know the Belgian lads also call themselves the Devils as a nickname as well. He's moving like that. He's getting on the ball, looking for 1-2s. Mupe didn't have the best of games, but he's making moves. On another day, these things go against us. Another positive I'd also say is one thing I like and I've been liking. There's going to be times where collectively we all play bad, or certain, one man might play bad. And I said it before, in defense, it weren't Tomiyasu's day. But I like to see Ramsdale, Ben White, Gabriel pulling him through it. Same way it might not have been Ben White's game previously, and that's happened. Gabriel and Tierney are going to drop off. I don't think Tierney was terrible, but Tierney's also had a shaky start to the campaign, and once again, didn't really offer nothing. I do feel as well in that midfield, on top of losing the battle, obviously from a tactical point of view, people, I think, maybe in hindsight, maybe Lokonga could have switched with Partey. Partey, the more experienced, maybe he could have been the guy that covered for Tierney, because I do think that game was a bit of a shell shock to Tomiyasu and Lokonga in terms of welcome to the Premier and all these sort of things. And I think Lokonga showed he's still got a lot to work on at times. I did think he'd done all right, but at times he's missing out. And I think at times he's not looking over his shoulder. And I think Partey's a bit more experienced. Could he have done that? That's just something for Arteta to have in mind. But saying that again, it's 2 man against 5 in midfield. We're always going to lose it, no matter how much you make Aubameyang get behind the ball, Smith Rowe tucking, etc. We're always gonna struggle. And as I said, with positives, people, and again, Arsenal cannot win every game. I think this game brought people back down to reality. We can diagnose it and say we could have done better, but it's not a winning. I would love to be that, but unless we're Man City or Liverpool, which they didn't win, it's not a winning thing every week for Arsenal. It's not. We're not going to win every game. We've got a long way to go. We're not anywhere near a team capable of realistically getting Europe and whatever. Yeah, we ride the highs and lows of, definitely the lows at the start. Beating Spurs, it's always nice. You can be happy, but we need to remember how far this team has to go. And there's going to be many teething issues. Now, I don't want to say we got away with it, but we got away with it against Brighton. We lived to fight another day. I think we got away with it against Brighton. I think the second half against Spurs, we got away with it. I wouldn't go as far as to say we got away with it against Burnley and Norwich, but sometimes when you don't kill games, that costs you. Like, again, if that Ben White penalty is given against Burnley, if certain incidences go a different way against Spurs, if Cedric and Gabriel don't make them blocks against Norwich, we don't get 3 points in these games. And at some point, that's going to come back to bite us. So that's something to be wary of. And this is what I mean. We've got a long way to go as a team. So games like this, it's never nice to draw or whatever, but it brings you back down to reality. And, you look at the Liverpool game, City were all over them in the first half. Liverpool could have won a couple of goals down, really. It was quite toothless in the first half from Liverpool. They didn't kill the game. Liverpool came on this thing in the second half. Now, if Liverpool could have defended better, they might have robbed it in the second. If City had a bit more attacking intent by their own standards, they might have killed the game in the first half. Instead, they've taken a point. You need to kill games. Now, and that's actually what Brighton did. They didn't finish their dinner against us. We was there for the taking. Their poor finishing and shots on target's the reason they didn't win. Big save from Ramsdale, etc., etc. And again, also, we need to learn how to turn it on week in, week out, because as I said, come the evening against Spurs when we've won, it means F all, because it is what it is. But again, this is a team that we're all scared to go to the Amex against, a team that is performing and in good form. While I would have loved to have won, and I do think it was a bigger test than the Brighton game, we didn't lose in it. As I said, 10 from 12. Don't think it's anything to shout about. Don't think it's anything to be overly negative about. Just think it's a platform. And I just think we cannot go from one week to the other. 1 week we're rubbish, next week we're amazing. We've got to keep some middle ground and really consider this team has a long way to go. In terms of negatives, in short, people, lost the midfield battle. It felt like everyone was quite nervous. Everything was rushed. We was outnumbered all over the field. That's one for Arteta. A way of defending is how you hold on to the ball. And if we're meant, there's meant to be a serious golfing class between our technical level and Brighton's. I think if we can't match them, how you hold on to the ball is a way of defending. And we was camped in our own half and we're giving the ball back away again, time and time again to them. we need to do better than that, because again, that's just making us tired. I think Tomiyasu with his throw-ins needs to look at what he's doing, and I think he was quite wasteful in that game as well. I did think ball retention wasn't good enough, lack of technical quality, midfield imbalance. There was too many gaps in our transition. The press was rubbish. We didn't get forwards enough numbers forward to support the attackers. For me, games like that also show for me that this midfield, what two midfielders of real quality can do for you and really improve in games like that. As much as I feel I like Smith Rowe and Odegaard in the team, we need to take it on a case by case basis. We don't need to force both of them into the 11, in my opinion. Definitely when you're going against a back three, where maybe you could have went with more men. As I said, it felt like Aubameyang's outnumbered. So yeah, man. Again, shout out to Brighton and all of these sort of things for their performance. But if we look at it, couple of bits and pieces from a tactical front, where do I start? Now, obviously, this was our shape in reality, people. Now, again, I'll get back to this, but you saw a 3-5-2 from Brighton. I'm going to get back to this in a second, people. Primarily, Brighton, I'll just show you Brighton's formation without, obviously, all the stuff going on. It just looks a bit more cleaner. Now, you already know. Now, let's get a keeper in goal for them as well, because they didn't play with 10 men. But Brighton, they're a very technically excellent side with a fantastic coach, but the players are very sensible. Mulder, I've never seen him have more opportunities than I ever had against us. He had half chances. Lallana, you can't put a price on experience in the middle there. Pascal Gross, very technical. Veltman had a good day going forward, and you can see why he's keeping Tariq Lamptey out the team temporarily. Coriella, their man of the match. For me, I was more impressed with their back three because of how they defended, because of how they read the game. But in reality, this is where we was in trouble, because our press was a one-man thing of Aubameyang. At best, you were seeing Aubameyang on times. He was on the last shoulder. He might win the occasional header or duel, but long story short, he's not there. And I'm going to show you over in the last graphic, but he's dropping because we want to hold our shape. So naturally, that says, you know what, fullback 1, fullback 2, you man get higher. Centre half, not too far, but provide some width. Dan Burner's actually played left back in a back four for Brighton on times as well. And I don't think he's amazing, but I've said it before. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League in terms of competencies. He's very competent at just doing his job. They pulled out wide. You had Sanchez, you had Ethel to do. You had their midfielders, Mulder's going forward. And again, you can see how we're going to start getting eaten alive. You've obviously got Tossart and Mupé. If you're not good, the only way you can't match teams against teams like this is if we've got better quality. So this is where we're in problems. Now, if you could imagine our midfield, where we're already a losing battle because we're going against a 3, a 5 if you include the fullbacks. And then we're not helping ourselves because Smith Rowe was amazing. But he should have just been the 10 in this game. Everyone's a genius in hindsight, but he probably should have just been in the 10. Go with a direct winger. Give these lot something to think about. Because even Saka's being told to get narrow. Coriella didn't really have much to do. You saw an occasion when him and Dan Burner having decent little fights and things like that. So I did think we shaked ourselves. In reality, in the first half, I think our shape was something like this. You had give or take, not to scale. You had Odegaard slightly off Aubameyang or whatnot. Say what you want, but I think we was more or less like this. Smith Rowe is tucking in, and there was obviously occasions Smith Rowe is a bumblebee, buzzes around and does everything everywhere, people. But we was probably too narrow. Then you had, again, hopefully it's still clear to see, but you had Veltman in our half. Coriella, again, Spanish fullback. He's going to want to go forward. He's in our half. Let's really exaggerate. He's in our half. Pardon me. Tossart is picking up lovely little spots. So you've got Tossart. Where's Mupé? You've got Mupé because they went with a 4, Obviously, you've got Dan Burn surveilling that fullback, and they're actually quite high, really. The back three from Brighton was actually quite high. They actually backed themselves, regardless of Aubameyang's pace and all of those sort of things. You had Lallana governing in the middle. You had Mulder. Again, it don't really matter where they're placed. You had Pascal Gross. You had their back three. So again, we're fighting a losing battle. We're getting eaten alive. Our midfield, it's a tough education for Lokonga. Smith Rowe is narrow, and we're at their mercy, really and truly, for large periods of that game. So this is where I'm saying Arteta we went with a 3. Now, again, everybody is a genius in hindsight, people. Everyone and their nan's a genius. But going back to here, as you lot could see, this is how we, in theory, were meant to line up. But as I said, in real time, we're in our own half camped like that, and there's no outball. Yes, on occasion, we had 1-2 little breaks and whatnot, but That's how we're being eaten alive. And when you look at it, could we have fared a bit better if we, again, it's everyone's a genius in hindsight. I don't know how it would have worked, but could we have matched them with a 3-5-2? Could you have pulled? Because you saw Lacazette come off the bench, and games like that are the games for Lacazette. There's games for Aubameyang, there's games for Lacazette. You know, I did think, could you have went with Lacazette? If not, if you're not going to keep a free and go with Pepe and Saka, where they're more direct, and these wingers, you know, again, let's just say Saka's on the left because his name's right there. This guy might have to think, oh boy, you know, I can't really go for it. Saka in a foot race is a bit mad. Let me drop off a couple yards. Then immediately Tierney can get further up the field, etc., etc. But when we're camped in our home half, like what you saw, is a madness. Now you can't include everyone in a in a 3-5-2, but could we have went with a 3-5-2? In hindsight, you know, who it would have been, I don't know. In hindsight, again, this is just off hindsight. Tomiyasu might have looked more comfortable in the middle just dealing with headers because he looked a bit overruled by the occasion. But I probably would have went with these two. I would have kept Tomiyasu out there. I can't lie, I don't know who I would have really got in the midfield. You know, again, I don't even know if Holding is fit, but I probably would have went with Holding here. Made Holding go and do this thing, if I'm honest with you. Let's remove that. Let's just say this. I would have probably went with Holding because he's decent in the air for all his problems. Probably would have went with that. You know, probably would have went with Smith Rowe in there. You know, got our fullback, obviously, you know, probably, you know, and I'm even saying that you immediately probably have to drop out Saka, even though he can play centre mid. So that could have been an avenue, but, you know, or you could have brought even in game, I thought we'd switch to a back three and maybe Saka would go right wing back. But again, you know, where's Lokonga? Again, maybe you could have taken Saka out the team just in general. Now, there's a lack of width there, if I'm honest with you. And then obviously gone with Lokonga or whatever. Now, again, there's many trips and trades, but for me, it's just I would have went with two up front. Not necessarily the midfield would have looked better. I think our back three would have coped better. 5 against 2 is always better. But I just feel instantly now, you know, you discourage them because you've got Oba and Laka pressing together. Smith Rowe get involved in that press. The midfield in Partey and Lokonga, they can do what they brought to the club to do because of their quality. You've got the centre halves where I hope there's communication. Obviously, Tomiyasu doesn't like to get forward, but can get forward. Ben White can actually played as a right wing back. So you've got space to play ball in that. Gabriel, so immediately Tierney can get further forward. Gabriel can spread the pitch. You know, Lokonga, again, if you want Lokonga to do that, I would have probably preferred Partey in that game because he's more experienced to do that. Let Lokonga go out there and immediately we start to match them a bit more. Now, ironically, you probably need to go with either Maitland-Niles or Saka and probably pull Tomiyasu, probably go Tomiyasu inside now that I think about it. And it's a bit mad. But you could have went with Maitland-Niles, but just to get Saka in there, you know, you're playing as a wing back. You're basically a winger. Get Saka in there. Immediately, you've pinned their fullbacks back. They have to think twice. If I'm going forward, I have to make it count. You know, you've got the flying Scotsman. You've got Smith Rowe in the pockets helping with the press. So that's something I felt we could have done, people, if I'm honest with you. It's easy to sit here and say this. End of the day, we got a point. So we live to fight another day. But that's all I've got to say from a tactical front, people. I've actually included everything. Again, there isn't actually much. You all saw it. Games like this are probably the easiest. But I would say it was a healthy dose of a reality check for Arsenal fans or Arsenal if you needed one, people. But yeah, if not personnel, I do think we could have went with a 2 up front and we might have fared a bit better, and definitely our midfield would have. But yeah, that was a long one. What have you lot been saying, man? Many players should score, not just Aubameyang all the time. Exactly. To be fair, if Laka didn't start Laka, if Arteta didn't start Laka and Pepe, some of the fan base would be in uproar. I mean, fan base was in uproar about Xhaka starting the North London derby, bro. Fans are always going to say something. Obviously, if it doesn't work, we have to have a conversation, but you're the gaffer, you know, and he's shown really and truly that he won't be swayed by decisions, because I look back to the Europa League semi-final. How many men are going to throw Smith Rowe as a false nine, you know? Maybe not so much this season, but how many bewildering chances, you know, Cedric, you forget he plays, then he randomly comes in. And, you know, even at the start of this year, I know there was injuries, but Kolasinac randomly playing, despite the fact that that might not have been, he weren't the worst player. So again, you know, I don't think Arteta is swayed by that. I don't think as a manager in general, you can win everything. But yeah, man. Tomiyasu was baptized into the Premier League by Coriello, although I blame Saka for not helping out. I don't think so. I think people are gassing up Coriella's performance. Man of the match, quality, don't get it twisted, but man are acting like it's some prime Roberto Carlos. He got forward, he tested Tomiyasu, he put him on the moments, but it's expected. I wouldn't agree with that with Bukayo Saka. I think Tomiyasu looked very nervous. He wasn't winning his 1v1s. And I think it's been coming because if you listen to Tomiyasu or his teammates, he speaks to the nerves, and there has big up coach Gerald Lamb because even he's been saying, I'm going to have him on soon, he's been saying things like, Tomiyasu's a bit nervous. It was a baptism of fire. Games like this, when there's no time to breathe, we've seen, and we've got a long way to go, because we had moments to breathe against Burnley, moments to breathe against Spurs, moments to breathe against Norwich. It's games like this for a minute one, it's mad. Like against Brentford, minute one, it's mad. You got to be switched on from every dead ball scenario. Games like this, we're still adapting. We're still having teething problems. I would say real Premier League games we're still struggling with. And again, I'm not criticizing us. This is something Arsenal's going to have. We're going to have many games like this. There's going to be games we play like this, and we're not going to save any face and walk away from Brighton with a point. We're going to get none, because sometimes I think there's been little rumblings of lessons that this team have to learn, and we're going to learn it the harsh way. As I've been saying, they've been brewing. Lallana was their deepest midfielder, and we still struggle to create. Teta completely outdone by Potter. To be fair to you, it was a managerial masterclass, and Lallana showed he's old, but he's still golden, and you can't put a price on experience. And they have a more functioning midfield than us, really and truly. Like that's what it showed. And as I'd say with Arteta, he's shown he can have a plan for the big games, as you've seen numerous times. But sometimes by the stroke of that, I think sometimes he's shown he hasn't really doesn't know when. The times you're meant to be flexible, I don't think he is. The time you're meant to have stability, I don't think you are. Game and man management, still learning a lot, because I feel a lot of the times, even when we was in Europa League last season and we was playing Slavia Prague and Benfica, we might have got over the line, but there was incidences I can remember from the live watch-alongs were saying, yo, they've changed something here and they've put Arteta under problems. And I even look at Brendan Rodgers at the Emirates, because if you remember the game last season at the Emirates, we should have killed them. We was onto them. And then I think second half, he changed things. Brendan Rodgers changed things up and you could see it brewing. And I think, well, Mustafi's not here anymore, or it might have even been the season before that. I think it was last season. Mustafi's not there anymore. And obviously, you saw what happened, didn't it? You saw, Vardy got a bit of space. You know what happens. You already know the script. So it's a very interesting one. And I'm not going to say he shouldn't have went with the same team, because we need stability and things, but I think a lot of us would have went to a back three. But again, it's easy for us to sit here. Lacazette, Xhaka, Nketiah, Pepe, Holding, Kolasinac, Chambers, Marie, Cedric, El Nene, all are championship level players. I definitely don't think Lacazette is. I definitely don't think Granit Xhaka is. I definitely don't think Pepe is. Holding, that's a bit harsh. Kolasinac, you could play German top division, I guess. Chambers, yeah, you could get a Premier League team, but you could be in the champs. Cedric, I think you could play top division football, just shouldn't be here. Marie, the same, probably could go elsewhere. I think it's a bit harsh, man. Good, interesting comments, though. And this is it. I told you, lot. Tomiyasu's not going to play amazing forever. He's shown the good, bad, and the ugly. He's got a lot to work on. As much as I think he's one experienced player and that he's shown he's 22, you're going to have bad games. Man are not invincible in this thing. Lacazette made a massive difference. And again, it's about understanding your player. It's about understanding your player and the players you have at your disposal. The problem with Lacazette and Aubameyang is Aubameyang's not going to give you a physical presence. I know he did it against Spurs, but he's not going to give you a physical presence. And it's difficult, because I've seen Laka play against a three and struggle, because three man can't always, one man can't defeat three. But there's times where the problem with Aubameyang is, his game's all about movement, and sometimes Lacazette plays, we struggle for movement. Aubameyang, no hold-up play, really, struggles for hold-up play. We'd like to marry the both together. That's why, for me, summertime, let's find the next striker who can do a bit of both. 200-odd people watching, and we've still only got 100 likes. As usual, you lot doing the guy dirty, man. Hit the like button if you haven't done such already, folks. Brighton and Brentford play a 3-5-2. When Brighton beat them, it was like a 3-4-3. Liverpool used 4-3-3. Seems like Arteta likes 4-2-3-1. To be fair, the systems, people get hung up on the systems, man. Like they interchange a lot. Emil Smith-Rowe's work rate needs to improve. He gets too tired quick for a midfielder. I think that's capped, but fair play. Smith-Rowe learning it the hard way, that if you aren't on it, our fans will come through. I mean, they'll love you, Haley and Boy, and number 10, but they don't care about you. They care about your ability. And to be fair, I think Smith-Rowe was our man of the match. Maybe could have passed 10 seconds earlier to Saka before the pass was dead. But yeah, man. I love Oba, but does he sometimes lack courage in challenges like versus Brighton? I mean, I don't think that, because we can go back to the Spurs game. As captain, he's not committed to the physical side of the game. That sends a very negative vibe through the team. I wouldn't say that. I think he puts himself around to what he can do. It's just not levels for certain games. Ben White seems too cocky for me, needs to do the basics first, then get fancy. I wouldn't say cocky, but I'd say he's a bit nonchalant. He clearly you could say that he feels himself as a passer. But as a centre half, you've always got to be switched on. Saying that, I think Ben White was one of our better players in the weekend for a return to Brighton and them thing there, man. Would Martinelli have been effective against Brighton? Maybe, Pepe, Martinelli, Lacazette. It was, in hindsight, it's a game for them. The guys that are aggressive, that are going to press, that aren't really going to give you an inch. Maybe. You got yourself, Stefan. Still say we built to fail, because we literally build up to use the youth excuse every time we come up short. Hard out here, Brighton playing Wenger ball. It is, but at the same time, we've got to recognize it. Like, these are 23-year-old naive kids. Now, I expect a bit more man management and footballing IQ and all these things. Then, obviously, if we break down our squad, obviously, if I sit there and look, I expect a bit more from Gabriel, because who's still inexperienced, but you've been here a season, you've been at Lille, you've done two bits and bobs. Ben White, you've cost 50 million, you've been in the England squad. Ramsdale, you've been part of Premier League football for a while, you've got some decent experience to fall back on. Saka and Smith-Rowe, really Saka, because you've been about at this thing. Smith-Rowe, you've only been here 10 months. But you get the point. There's certain more experience. There's certain younger players. I expect Tomiyasu, I expect a bit more from them. Then a Balogun is thrown in there. Or I think people forget when it comes to Smith-Rowe, the man's been a Premier League footballer for 10 months, 10 months. 10 months. 10 months, really. I know he's been in the Arsenal first team for a while. He's been on loan at Leipzig. He's been on Huddersfield. He's played cup games, but he's only been a levels player like that since December last year, and he's gone on and done well. But this is where we need to keep some perspective. It's a fantastic growth period, just like with Saka, in a short space of time. England international, number 7. Arguably, it was at the time, it was a great show of growth when he signed that new deal recently. He's probably grown a tenfold. I think he needs a new deal, really and truly, if I'm honest with you. But we need to keep some perspective. We need to remember. And then on top of that, the more experienced players are still young and silly themselves, and they're 23. So I wouldn't say necessarily youth is an excuse. And I would say some of the times when we're using the youth excuse, personally, I think it's not a youth thing. I don't think it's a youth thing. I think it doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 50 years of age. If you're playing football and you do certain things, you're going to be punished. It's about learning from them. And again, as long as we're learning, only time will tell, Again, that's all that matters, really and truly. But we've got a young, naive squad, and games like that, they show it. We've showed naiveties in all games. We definitely showed mad naiveties against Spurs. We went a goal up and started looking a bit scared. I think the best goal we scored was our second, because Spurs started to wake up a bit. When you smell blood, and I know we scored 3 goals, so I'm being a bit harsh, but you got to smell blood. But also, as I said at the start, games like this, Arsenal have a long way to go, man. The only way is up if they're managed properly, man. 100% agree. The home game against Villa is a big one. I think aside from the Aubameyang free kick winner, Dean Smith has had Arteta's number every time. Fair play. And I swear they did the double over us last season. Or am I guessing? I could be guessing. A lot of people had unrealistic expectations of this team. These shaky games are part and parcel of this project. Just glad to get a draw based on the performance. Same. DG Arteta. No, I ain't won no FA Cup, man. I ain't won no FA Cup. Brighton, along the games against Burnley and Norwich, showed our true level, inability to create, and not a well-coached team. Train driver said, if the Sterling transfer happens, it would make me really happy. It's like a late Christmas present for Arsenal fans. It ain't gonna happen, man. Gotta love a simple, consistent, competent player. Same. You know, and that's what I see with Tomiyasu. You don't do nothing amazing, but you're competent, you're consistent, and you look confident in your ability to do your job. Now, at times, I sound like a hypocrite. I just said he looked a bit overawed, but come on now, 22 years of age, you're playing Premier League football. There is a culture shock, really and truly, and the intensity. And as I said, it's games like this that's Arsenal's issue. When it's a mad one, like you saw with, when was the last mad game? Kind of actually West Ham away, you know, last season when it was 3-3. When the game's a bit mad, we don't know when to arrest ourselves, you know, and the players are like, okay, cool, this is a crazy game. Let me get my headspace in. Let me make sure my teammates are all right. I know the manager might have said to do this. Let's just do this. Or I know your job is to get forward. Let's just stay in a bit and keep it and calm down a bit. Game management. There's a lot Arteta needs to work on with them, but there's a lot these players have to develop street smartness. And I'm not going to lie, I do expect it to be a bit better. It should be a bit better. As I've said, you know, as much as I feel the younger sort of players now, as I said, the more experienced ones, you know, I look around at Saka, at Smith Rowe, at Ben White, you know, at Gabriel, Ramsdale now, where they've all shown periods of great quality, but also an experience. And I think you lot have played enough games. You know, Ramsdale, you've been in relegation battles, so you know the value in managing out games and making sure you walk home with 3 points or you know, or something. And that's one thing that gave me pleasure in a sense of, I know Ramsdale's been in them situations for Sheffield United where you have to grab a point. You know, you need to get out of there with something, really. And I hope he's telling the next ones. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I like how Ramsdale is vocal at times against Brighton. For me, it looked like he's too concerned with other people's job and not necessarily locking down his own. So there is a balance to be found, but you get the point. Interesting comments, man. Interesting comments, people all the way. Arsenal's lack of. Oh, sorry, folks. I'm just making another timestamp. Now, obviously, if we need to, there's a couple of things we can discuss, really and truly. We scroll all the way up on this one now. For what it's worth, people, I'll just read it out. There's no point showing it to you lot. As you lot know, FIFA tried to come down heavy on Arsenal in relation to potentially Joel Campbell and Chuba Akpom signings, but the Court of Arbitration and Sport has heard Arsenal, and you know, apparently we've bust case, people, because initially we were handed a 34,000 better yet fine by FIFA and warned about future conduct after a ruling in July 2020 claimed the clauses gave us undue influence over other clubs. As you know, apparently Arsenal engineered deals where we'd be eligible for 40% of a transfer fee paid by any British club for Chuba Akpom, to 30% from any other club, and for Campbell it was similar with 30% and £25 million respectively. Now you can actually, if I copy and paste, if you want, it's a long document. There's 27 pages, people. You can see it here yourself. You know, we've actually there's a mistake in there, but you can actually see it. We've actually bust it. We've bust case. You know, big up to Arsenal's attorneys and all of these sort of things. So yeah, I'm not going to obviously read out all 27 pages, but you can read it and fine tune it and come to your own conclusions in that regards. But going back to, in short, people, of what was said, people, Arsenal's appeal claimed the club never did acquire any real or effective ability to influence the deals of selling or buying players or the players themselves, in part because the fees involved were so small. Apparently, Arsenal also claimed the wording of the rule that was allegedly broke wasn't clear, and the other clubs had acted similarly in asserting their own clauses. And apparently, CAS, Court of Arbitration for Sport, ended up agreeing, people's apparently said, all in all, and based on the wording of the sell-on clauses and circumstances of these particular transfers, the panel on balance of probabilities is not convinced that Arsenal, when entering into contract 1 and or contract 2, acquired the ability to materially influence the other clubs in employment and transfer related matters, their policies or performance of their team. Moreover, and even if such influence was to be considered acquired when signing the respective contracts, the panel finds in these two transfers that such influence did not reach the required threshold, to potentially unduly limit the independence of clubs. For the sake of good order, and the panel notes that according to the information received during the hearing, the players, Joel Campbell, and I think they meant Akpom there, was in fact transferred to a club in the British English Championship. So again, Akpom, which only supports the view of the panel that no material limiting the influence was ever required by Arsenal. Based on the above, the panel finds that the sell-on clause in the first contract and in the second contract do not violate the prohibition set out in Article 18. I can't see what it says there. And as such, the appeal decision should therefore be set aside and sanctions imposed on Arsenal lifted as a consequence hereof. So yeah, there you have it. Arsenal have bust that case, people, where that's supposed to be concerned. Allegedly, Derby owe us money as well, folks, for what it is as well. Derby, Arsenal, they owe us money in relation to the Bielik transfer. And with that being said, considering their problems, I can't see them ever running us the bread, people, really and truly. Bielik, Derby. Sorry, folks. I'm trying to find the article for you guys. So yeah, as you lot can see here, we're still owed peas, people. Arsenal still owed 8 million by Derby as Christian Bielik, for Christian Bielik, as desperate Rams step up search for new owner. Derby County reportedly owe Arsenal an outstanding fee for the purchase of former Gunners midfielder Christian Bielik. Apparently, the Telegraph Sport claims the Emirates Giants are one of the Ramsey's main creditors after the two sides made a deal over the sale of the player. What, can we install some late fees? It is thought groups or individuals interested in purchasing the Pride Park club will have to take responsibility for its liabilities, which is reported to be in the region of tens of millions of pounds, which is cool. And Derby, who play Swansea next, are claimed to still owe the Gunners 8 million for Bielik, who signed for the Rams in August 2019 when Koku was managing the team. As you lot know, he's got 2 senior caps for Poland. He joined them for up to 10 million. So we've only been ran our 2 million. Now the rest are probably structured and in terms of different payments and things, but you can see how Arsenal got done dirty there. So we're still owed some money, you know. Arsenal owing money, you know. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So madness, people. I love it. I love it though, same way. Where Arsenal are concerned as well, sadly, people, you know, against Brighton, we have broken another new low. We're hitting them all the time. Arsenal hit 35-year offensive low after scoreless draw with Brighton. Now, away from the Brighton game, we know we don't score goals. We don't create enough. We were 9th for goals last season. We're very low for chances created, shots on target, and everything else generally. The scoreless affair meant the Gunners now have just 5 goals from their opening 7 league games, their lowest total since 1986-87. I know we did play we did play the European and Premier League giants, but it's still no excuse. The result left the Gunners left the Gunners 9th in the table, having 3 wins, 1 draw, and 3 defeats in our 7 games so far, people. That's cool. In terms of Aaron Ramsdale, he said, personally and collectively, the performance needs to be better, especially with where we want to get to. It's another point, and it's been a good month, so we keep looking up now. We've had a tough start, and no one is hiding from that. We have turned the corner with our 4 good results, and you can see a structure of a team and one that is gelling on the pitch. Fair play. And we have clawed our season somewhat back, but we've got a long way to go. We've got a very, very long way to go, people. So that's that where that one's concerned, people. So yeah, Arsenal are owed money. We've bust a case, and yeah, man, we've hit a new low. Arsenal hit 35-year low. So yeah, it is where that one's concerned, folks. Just before we get into Arteta's press conference, what else are you lot saying? I don't know for none of that. I think we've got what we're due for Marlon. A man said, I want a 420% increase on that. Karma for Rooney diving to end our unbeaten run. Took 15 years, but we made it. Oh, man. And we did also play second. We also did play bottom and second bottom, which is also true. This excuse that the guys are young is being overplayed. Clubs like Dortmund and Ajax thrive on using young players, and they don't get to use it as an excuse. Yes, they do. You know, if Ajax were in England, yeah, they would. How many, you know, I'm sure Ajax are a bit lucky they're in the Eredivisie, but when they go in Europe, they come up short, as you saw in the Europa League, as you saw in the Champions League against Spurs. You know, Borussia Dortmund, the same token. Now, it's going to be a tough excuse, a very tough one trying to beat Dortmund to a league title. But yes, they do. You know, that Joseph, that isn't true. Yes, they bloody do. Yes, they bloody do. And when they get through to the latter stages, you see the inexperience and the same things I said, you know. Our players are still young. Yes, we should be improvement. There should be improvement. Yeah, there should be a lot better. But yes, they do. Arsenal are not the only club that gets to hang up on young players. And to be fair to you, both teams, you know, what is their goal? Dortmund, do they want to win the Bundesliga? Kande is a bit of another, we know it's an impossible job, but do they really want to win Bundesliga, or are they trying to stay afloat and keep selling and buying players like what you're seeing with Ajax? I don't know. So I'm not too sure that makes a whole bunch of sense. Of course, we don't play as fast and with the same tenacity and, quite frankly, as crisp as Manchester City and Liverpool do. Of course not. Oh, bloody well, of course not. It's always thought at Brighton, better win 1 point than losing 3. True. And make sure you're all subscribing on Twitch, people. I keep forgetting to say to you lot, 5 p.m. people, Q&A business. Hold some of those questions and make sure you're there. And check out the YouTube community tab. I've asked you for some in advance. Considering the pressure from Brighton, I'm glad we were able to grind out a result and avoid conceding same, but there's still a lot to build upon. Come on. Where have we turned the corner? We're in a bit of a more positive situation as a club, but in relation to turning a corner, only time will tell. You've won 3, you've lost 3, you've got a draw. That tells me there's a lot to build upon, there's a lot to work on, and there's some positive. That tells me good, bad, and the ugly personally. We need a creative mid in January, same, number 8. I know some of you don't even believe what you're typing. Trust. This manager is breaking all the records. To be fair to him, like, that one's a bit harsh, but you're right, breaking all the wrong records, if I'm completely real with you. Make sure you're following on Twitch, people. One love to everyone who has been doing such already. 5 p.m. UK time. Obviously, if you're not in the UK, use your marbles and think about where you're actually at, and that's it. 168 likes. One love to everyone who's hit the like button. If you don't hit the like button, unexpected high bills. There's 286 of you locked in, but yeah, man, you're doing the guy dirty. So yeah, it is what it is in that regards, folks. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Potter would have us sourcing. Arteta is a fraud. Potter is an actual coach that's better players. He might be, bro, but regardless, what do you want me to say to that? I'm not here to talk about Graham Potter or to criticize Arteta. Like, there's not much I can add on to that. And at this moment in time, my feelings, your feelings on Arteta are irrelevant. He's the gaffer. Potter's at Brighton. Beyond our teams playing each other, it's quite irrelevant, really. So I don't know what you want me to say. What sort of conversation you want me to have here? Derby are in the mud, bro, and they need help. Wayne Rooney's paying through his own pocket. Commendable to Rooney, but it's absolutely atrocious that Rooney, the gaffer, is having to pay out of his own pocket. What the hell is going on at Brighton? If I'm completely honest with you, like, not a clue, but I'm sure they're gonna live. Arteta post match. Yeah, people, I want to see what Mikel Arteta has had to say regarding Arsenal's game against Brighton, because I actually haven't seen his post-game comments, but let's see what's going on, people. Arteta on the draw, Ramsdale and Lokonga. Let's see how long this is. Oh, right. He ain't got too much to say, has he? On the result, I think it's a fair point gained, because I don't think we deserved anything more than that. If we did deserve that point, it's because we defended really well the last 15-20 minutes. True. But in general, we never felt in control of the game. We struggled to break the press and get good sequence of passes in the final third. That's true. We looked quite good in the first 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. And then after that, went down the toilet, just like at the Etihad. We was good for about 7 minutes, 5 minutes for me. But then it went down the toilet. They made it really tough for us. And we had to have known that. We had to have known it was going to be a struggle to play football. So it's either we remain true to our principles and we double down and show bravery to do that, or we switch up the script where we was clearly naive. Obviously, if we went with a 4, and if we did turn up and it wasn't so one-sided, we could have won with a 4. But maybe if we matched them, we went to a back 3 as stated, we could have had half a chance. We knew what we was getting into. A blind man, you could see what Brighton's about. You lot have all the analytical data available to you. And I'm not going to say I was against change. I was for changing it because you found some stability. But I think most people could have seen you needed to go with a back 3 against Brighton and match them. Because we haven't got the quality in this team that can say, do you know what, regardless what they're doing, this is what we're doing. They're going to have to deal with it. On the frustration at failing to break Brighton down, I mean, I don't know how it makes sense, but we're not even at the point of breaking down Brighton because, as you just said, we struggled to really make some passes apart from Smith Rowe here and there and Saka when he's not make someone at the start. We didn't break them down. So we need to have the conversation about the thought process in breaking Brighton down because I don't think it was a game where we struggled against a low block in a sense of that because we didn't do much. You can't struggle if you're not trying to do something really. Yes, because the way they pressed, yes, because the way they press, if we had made better decisions with the ball, there were bigger spaces to attack. Exactly. And maybe if you left wingers on and we had a real threat to do that, but we weren't bright enough to do that. And we didn't show enough quality on those duels to break that press and then became really dangerous in open spaces. If we'd been missing a character like Ramsdale, I don't know. The way we decided to recruit Ramsdale was after going through a big process where we wanted to know a lot about his personality, his character, the way he can handle playing under pressure at a big club. He's showing he's ready to do that. And I'm very happy with his performances and what he's bringing. That's one of the reasons I think defensively we've been really difficult to concede goals. I wouldn't go as far as to say that last sentence, but fair play. I'm going to skip the Saka bit because apparently Saka had a knock, but he's fine. So everyone's cool. On Ben White and Gabriel, yeah, I'm impressed because they've never played together and because they have struggled a little bit with the language and they didn't have any time to work together in pre-season either. They're getting a really good connection, good chemistry, and I think their qualities match and complement each other really, really well. I think both of them today were terrific. On Lokonga, he said, I think he did really well. I think he had one of the best performances from the players on the pitch. I would go as far as to say that I don't think anyone was terrible. I don't think anyone was amazing. It's really, Gabriel, Ben White, Smith Rowe for me, Ramsdale for the 1-2 dribs and drabs, even though his distribution was meh. That's it, really. Lokonga did all right. I think he struggled a bit. I don't think he done his task necessarily the best he could covering in that role for TIERNEY. Did think he was a bit overruled. Sometimes I don't think he was tracking runners off the ball, but I did think he mucked in and made 1-2 tackles and that. Didn't appreciate the shot he took where he got a bit of a nosebleed, but fair play. He said he shows a lot of character and all the time good positions. I think his defensive work and understanding is getting better. It was a really difficult game because it was all the time 1-versus-1 duels all over the pitch, and it's not something that really suits him the most. But I think under the circumstances, he did really well. And we've just said the Saka bit, so yeah, one of the smallest and shortest paragraphs, really and truly. There's nothing else he said. Well, Tomiyasu, what have you said, Tomiyasu? Tomiyasu has said, on the point, should we read it all? I just want to see what he said on his performance, really and truly. But on the point, he said, I'm not happy with the point, but I have to think positively about 1 point because they controlled the game most of the time. We will take 1 point. I'm not happy with the result, but we have to be positive. On the conditions, he said, yes, but it will happen again in the future in the Premier League. So I'll have to adapt to it also. I have to adapt to every possible team and also the weather. And exactly, and it's what us Arsenal fans say, unless the sun is shining and the grass is clearly cut and whatnot, and it's the right time of kickoff, we're not amazing. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have that. It was wet. It was windy. We was playing an informed team, a team that are on fighting with 12th man. And we walked away with it with something, but we could have walked away with it a lot more, We were just, we weren't, if it was a boxing match, we're just ducking and diving and we're getting something out of the result based on the judge's decision. We didn't really try and land that knockout bang and take the title and all those sort of things. But it is what it is. There's going to be many, and look at the months we're going into. I know England weather is bipolar and we could very well have a sunny summer, but it's going to get long. On the clean sheet, he said, I'm happy about the clean sheet. You have to think positively because in the box, I think we won most of the duels, only in the box. In other areas, we lost duels most of the time. We have to improve. And that's true. We was losing battles up front. Midfield, we was toothless, as well as tactically, it's not helping us. And to be honest, Tomiyasu was losing 9 times out of 10 every battle he went against, whether it was on the air dribbling thing or put into or whatever in it. He said, I've played 4 games. Every game makes me develop. I want to play in the game as much as I can to show my value and during training. In relation to the atmosphere, he said, the atmosphere in the stadium is amazing, especially at home. Our supporters give us a lot of energy every time they fight with us. And also we have to give them something back on the pitch. Facts, man. And you know me, I got time for Tomiyasu, man. Certified guy. I want to see, what is this one? A roller coaster is coming. What's this, Arteta? Roller coaster? We do the Fort Park thing? Let me see exactly what he said in relation to a roller coaster. And we know we've got some tough games to come, but he said, we have to improve individually and collectively and prepare well because a roller coaster is coming with the amount of games. I'm never happy with a point. I don't think we deserved anything more than that. We've read this one already, people, about in other areas, but we haven't seen this. He said, I haven't seen this. He said, we felt uncomfortable to break the press, and they had sequences of control in the game, and it was a really difficult game. But in the end, we showed some resilience. We have to be happy with the block of games we have played and the results that we've got. But I think we have to improve. That's true. Obviously, I'm not going to read the Saka bits and pieces out again, but fair play, fair play. Not too many press conferences with Arteta do I come away and think fair play. I always think, why did you say that? That's confused me and whatnot. But it is what it is, man. Live to fight another day. Press conference. Sorry, folks. Yeah, man, that's that. What else are you lot saying? Don't forget to like and subscribe. I agree with this. We still not have found that balance. I'm not saying what we have just settled on is the way forward, but there are some things lacking with Oba and the young core you can get with Gabby and Pepe. Not sure of what you mean by the second point, but I agree. I wouldn't say we can draw any conclusions. Odegaard wasn't at it, which is part of the reason why we drew. Exactly. Not too many players were on it, if I'm honest with you. We played ish, so need to improve. But same time, like what you said earlier last season, we're losing with a performance like that. So it's slightly reassuring that we can get away. We can get away with a point at Brighton. The only thing I can criticize about the Brighton game is Laka should have started. Oba cannot play away from home in games like that. Laka makes it stick. I think he meant to say. So he has to play away from home. Our fan base is so fickle. Let Arteta work and build. It does not take a few weeks, months, or even a year to get brand new football playing. Great things take time. DG, thoughts on Serie A? Tonali, the league's been on fire. I mean, I've been watching 1-2 bits and pieces. Ain't been too impressed with Atalanta. Rafa Leao, as I said, look good. Tonali, the first two, again, the goals that can't even remember the scoreline with AC Milan, Atalanta, but if I can remember correctly, they've scored blistering start literally within the first 30 seconds, and Tonali's pressing, and it's a bit of a moment to forget for the defender. So, yeah, man, Tonali's got to just show it each and every time. The consistency is the thing. The quality isn't. That's probably why he missed out on a Euro squad. Then, boy, I swear he got called up because of technicality. But yeah, anyways. DG, you're too reasonable. We need them madman Arsenal hot takes that these other channels be doing. Rumor has it. I'm not even going to read that. Bagmanny, I can only be myself. If you want them outrageous statements, you're going to need to find another channel, man, because I'm not just going to say mad things just because people want to hear that. That's a madness. That would make me a YouTube whore. I'm just saying things that I'm saying things that I don't want to say. Like, there's a lack of integrity with that. Beautiful thing about YouTube, they're out there, man. Realistically, where do you think we'll finish? I don't know, but I think more of the same from last year, if I'm completely honest. I think sixth at best, and we're punching. Yeah, 3-2 AC. That was a game still. I knew there was 3 goals. Rafael, Tonali, and I just said it. The goal at the front, the goal at the start in 30 seconds. I think it was Calabria or whatever. Bro, it's not even biasness or unbiasedness or realness. I just say what I believe. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you lot. Like, Serie A still the second best league despite losing Ronaldo, Romero. I think from a tactical point of view, it's enjoyable. I think, well, yeah, really. I'd say for teams that I prefer to watch, I can't lie. I'm a big fan of the French league. If it's not Prem, I'll watch a France. Gone off the boil with Spanish league. Not watching it as much. I must admit. Watch Barca, Atletico. To be fair, the first 3 games, we didn't have 11 we have starting now, but you can see this team still has a long way to go and the squad needs to be improved. So I expect these type of results. Fair play. I bag money, make up your mind, bro. You want integrity? I don't know about intelligence, or you want nonsense. I'm gassing, man. I mean, there's time for a laugh and a joke, but I can't do that. I get, people have to pay bills. I get the nature of the game. You say mad things, you get engagement, but I won't be able to sleep at night, bro. That I can see certain YouTube and certain channels, and I'm watching them. I'm like, I know you and I don't know you, but I know some I know. But I said, I know you in your heart, you don't believe this. You're just capping. I've been in rooms where man are saying things, especially Arsenal YouTubers. Man are saying things off camera they don't believe. Once the camera goes on, because they want to keep getting their Arsenal merchandise for free and keep getting shouted out, they start capping. They say they start capping, and then they go back to what they were saying off it. There's a real lack of integrity. But what can I say? This is the game, innit? This is the business. You know, I can't tell anyone how to get out the mud, innit? I can only do my thing and whatnot, man. But yeah, man. I think it's moist still. Absolutely mad. Trying to see if there's any other Arsenal stuff going on where Arsenal are concerned. And what a performance Salah had yesterday for off-topic people. Okay, Mbappe's chatting. We can chat about it. Make sure you're all here at 5 p.m. Well, I say here, that's a Twitch affair, people. So yeah, man. Yo, what was that? Just dropped my earpods, people, like a twat. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna need that. I wanna go gym. Talk about Kieran Tierney's performance. What do you want to know, man? You know me, I'm a big Tierney fan, but you lot got onto me when I said Tierney looks a bit shaky. I don't know if it's the Euros. I don't know if it's something psychological. I don't know if it's just a run of bad form. I don't know if it's personally what I believe. Like when we saw Saka dip off, Tierney dip off, Smith Rowe and Saka until recent dip off, Aubameyang dip off. I think it's one of them where we've relied on these lots so long, and sometimes we've looked at them and like, how are you playing so well? I think in life, it's the flip token of that. Now they're dropping it. I do think he had a better performance against Spurs. I think the game before that he came up, but you know, it's not been the Kieran Tierney in it. He's not looking as sharp. He's not. Do you know what? You lot are getting onto him for crossing, and I don't know if statistics are there. I don't think he's crossing. I don't think he's actually got up there and been the flying Scotsman he normally has. Maybe there's been something that's changed tactically. You know, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't feel. Maybe he's still. Maybe there's still teething problems in our defense. Maybe that's Tierney's version of it, really and truly. But yet against Brighton, what? If anything, Tomiyasu was worse, in my opinion, because, you know, Coriella was having more joy. Veltman, again, weren't really, he's a bit of a different profile, but he ain't going forward too much or doing much, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, man, I think he's not looking as quick. I think he's not looked as focused. He's been out of position more times than I thought. But saying that, there's been a couple of times, people, you know, there's been a couple of times where he's actually saved us. His clearance against Brighton, Saturday. His clearance against Spurs in that first 20 minutes, you know, there's a certain level. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen Tierney. Well, I probably have given him a 4, but I haven't dropped Tierney a 4 yet in his performances. And it's like Tomiyasu yesterday, your performance, probably, if I'm being harsh, it's a 4 for me, really. But if I'm being not biased and not looking at what DG wants to see, I give you a 5. So when you can't play well, you need to limit how bad you play. But yeah, Tierney's form, it concerns me, Nick, because yeah, it's not the same Tierney, but for me, he's still the best left back in the league, still one of the best in our team, still a future captain, you know, absolute baller. Coriella, Cucurella, George, whatever you want to call my man's name. Apologies, man. You know, I always find it funny, man. You know, I'm onto something if all you can criticize is that. But yeah, man, Cucurella, apologies. But yeah, that's what I find. That's what I feel. Sorry about Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney this season opinions. We're so used to seeing Tierney provide more than the average left back. He has some special abilities, but at the moment he's kind of average at best. No worries, man. No worries, George. It's banter, man. Every time I try to run Joe, you lot just kill it. I still think Arteta is the man. I know we don't have the team of Man City, Liverpool, but we need the energy to power forward. I don't know if Arteta is the man or not the man. You know, listen. As long as Arteta is the manager, I want you to do well. Same with all of these players. I don't know. You know, I think there's too much of a rush generally to condemn this guy as not good enough or to confirm this guy as the Messiah according to whether we've won, lost, or drawn. Now, for me, generally, I think Arteta's on borrowed time because I think many gaffers would have been sacked at the start of the year, would have been sacked for November. I haven't seen enough. Yes, you know, I've seen bits and pieces. I do think he's a decent man motivator. Do think he's a good tactician. Sometimes we played some lovely football, but generally, in short, for the period he's been here, I haven't seen enough. Now I'm seeing building blocks with Ramsdale and the back five and all of these things. I want to see a bit more. And actually, one thing I'm liking about Arteta, a lot of the things I was criticizing him for, he's started the season, he's done it. Like Pepe's been dropped, but he started Pepe. He's not starting Martinelli anymore, but he's given Pepe some chances, really and truly. You know, he's given Pepe chances. You know, he's played Aubameyang through the middle. You know, he's played Partey consistently. You know, he's not fucked about with the defensive partnerships. Yes, I know there was injuries and saying that there was Kolasinac against the league champions. But yeah, I think there's a lot of positives I want to see from Arteta, but the jury's still out. The jury's been out. You know, I think there's a lot of good. What I don't want to happen is I do want the club, if it doesn't look certain, to pull the plug, because what I don't want to happen is, and I keep saying it, is this man going to be a good manager for Arsenal or elsewhere? You know, I don't want him to learn the tricks and the trades and have these frustrating moments and then F off the City or wherever. And it's now the Pep that we thought the Arteta that we thought we was getting. I don't know. So the jury's still out. You've been giving your players. You said wait till they're fit. Seeing a bit of stuff. I know there's going to be rough periods. I'm not saying with every loss you need to go, every win you should be praised, but all I care about is May. If you know, again, I'm not saying if you're messing about, you have to stay in this position till May. But for me, come May, assuming you stay, if I don't know what my team is about, if I don't know a base level of expectation and performance, if I don't see less question marks over the historic things we're asking ourselves as Arsenal fans, if I don't see something to trust, I'm not going to trust the process. It looks, as I always said, Rome wasn't built in a day, but we need to see some scaffolding and materials being delivered. Previously, I didn't see that. Now I see scaffolding. Now I see people delivering things. But let me start to take shape now. It's that simple, really and truly. Show me that you are the guy for these young players. Really and truly. Simple as that. I'm neither Arteta in or out, bro. It's one of them. Like, you should have been sacked. You are the gaffer. It is what it is at this moment in time. You're not terrible, but you're not amazing. I haven't seen enough to be a Arteta apologist. I ain't seen enough to be out there with pitchforks. There's been times I think he's been the guy, of course. You know, as he was showing it, there's been times I think, yo, you need to go. Of course, because he's shown that you need to go. It's a results business. All I care about is the results. You know, I've got no emotional attachments to definitely Arteta. It's not like you was an amazing footballer for this club. I like what you're doing. But, you know, I liked Emery, you know, really. I gave Emery my full support until that probably last 2 weeks. You know, when it became abundantly clear he needed to keep it moving. So again, I got no divine loyalty to no one at this football club beyond my club. If anyone can get loyalty from me, it's Kieran Tierney, Saka, Smith Rowe. I can't cap Gabriel as well, if I'm honest with you. Charlie Patton, Tyrese John, Jules Balogun, Martinelli, you know, Haaland lads, of course. But not these, man. Ramsdale's getting there as well. Can't lie, man. I've seen enough, and I don't think Arteta is good enough. He has to prove me wrong. Joe, that's it. You know, I ain't seen nothing to say. Bro, if this is it, if somebody says Arteta in, I present reasons why he might not be in, but I can't tell anyone to say, oh, he deserves to be, he deserves to be sacked. And then when I see, you know, man are saying he's not good enough and these things like you're saying, Joe, I can't tell you no different because he's not shown nothing. When he come in, he's winning FA Cups and doing all these things. He's showing stuff. When you're not showing stuff, then there's issues. So I can't tell anybody anything, innit? I always tell you, I don't tell you what to think, just to think. And this is why I love my nation, because we all have different opinions and I learn a lot from you guys. I think you're late. We know Sterling ain't coming, but it's a talking point regardless. Manager aside, are we capable of getting top four with this squad? I don't think so. I think the manager's it. I think this squad is good enough to make a meal of top four. They've actually just not missed out by that much. We defeat ourselves. Now, do I think they're street smart enough? Probably not. I don't know about that, man. You sound like a Fed. Thoughts on Watford sacking manager and getting Ranieri? Please remind me. You know, I'm sorry, but I'm going to leave that to 5 p.m. But I think it's a good one. Remind me. Apologies, people. Might cut out. Was thinking you could upload like a 20-second video on YouTube same time as you go live on Twitch with the link to that stream for people who don't follow you on Twitch yet. Something that can be done. That's true. Sterling would just be like another Walcott. I don't know where you're on, and I think people are a bit disrespectful to Theo Walcott. I know it was jarring, but you know his record in terms of goals is quite good. Let's keep some perspective. There's more reasons for him to leave than stay. White, Ramsdale and White were trying to get long balls to Aubameyang to pass to Smith Rowe. Also, Lokonga missed a through to Saka, which was a really good chance for a goal. Fair play. 219 likes, 271 of you locked in. Hit the like button if you haven't, people. What's going on there? Shout out to Gabriel for getting his tooth fixed again. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen that before and after picture. Bloody hell, blood. Oof. Made me want to touch my teeth, but I'm happy I'm not around Gabriel. And you know that's gonna happen bare, man. Bro, Theo Walcott's problem is, for me anyways, as an Arsenal fan, 1 minute I want to be striker, then I want to be winger, now I'm a winger, then I'm a striker, now I'm a winger. But bro, man talk like Theo was a scrub. Theo was extremely frustrating, but he can look back at pride with his career as a Premier League footballer. I don't think it's ever been one that justified the hype of being a 16-year-old called up to go play for England at the World Cup in 06, which he didn't do. But man can't talk like Theo's a scrub, you know. Never been a scrub as a footballer. Can leave with his head held high. Obviously, 47 England caps, 8 goals, not the best. But I mean, and I know it's not amazing for Arsenal, but Walcott's definitely got better statistics than I thought. 108 goals and 78 assists. Now, he just shy of 400 Arsenal games, 398. But he can leave with his head held high, in my opinion. He scored 78 times, got 60 Premier League goals. He's not amazing, but he's not a scrub. DG just got in on my break for your stream. Hope I haven't missed much. Daniel, I'm not going to cap. I think you missed a whole lot, but the good thing is you can always scroll back, man. Man said half of Gabriel's salary is contributed by the tooth fairy. Bro, the tooth fairy probably retired now. One little bit of peace from Gabriel. You don't need to be tooth fairy again. I don't know who thinks they're getting top 4. My only demand for the last few seasons is make a real meal of it. I don't like being out of it with Beyond May. Even last season, you had to try really hard to not get top 4. I just don't like being out of any ambitions we have now. Really, it's a bit of a madness. It's absolute madness. It's an absolute madness. What else is there affecting Arsenal news? Right. 100%. Walcott was a very frustrating player, but his statistics are better than I remember, and he popped up at crucial times. Bro, Theo scored some good goals, man. What strikers would you like us to get instead of Laka/Orba? I'd go for Vlahovic. Vlahovic would be there. I like Hugh, I'm on the Isaac propaganda. I can't lie, I think Arsenal fans are gassing him a bit. I'm gassing Karim Adeyemi, so I'm a hypocrite, but Karim Adeyemi, for me, that needs to be. It's not going to happen. Bayern Munich and Liverpool bound, in my opinion. Maybe even Dortmund. But yeah, man, that would be it for me, really. Outside choice, I'm not really on it, but I'm not on it at all, really. But you lot have been gassing me a bit more with it. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I wasn't on it, but the more I've heard you lot say it, I wouldn't want him as our first choice, and probably why isn't going to happen. But I wouldn't mind that in the squad, You lot have been giving me propaganda, man. Bro, you don't look happy. I hope you're okay. I'm happy, bro. What the hell? I know I don't smile, but allow me, man. Bro, man, the gassing Isaac, one shot that's going off target, deflects and going at own goal against Spain, this, that, and the third. He's got a lot to work on. Bad boy footballer. I wouldn't mind Osimhen. Can't really lie. I don't really rate Dolberg's thing. Ivan Toney, if you can show me you can score 20 league goals, then I'm with it. I'm fully with it if you can get 20 league goals. I like everything else he's got to the game, but signing Toney at this moment in time, we're going to be saying the same things we say about Lacazette. He pressed well, big games, he's on it, this, that, and the other, but we might be like, yo, we're going for the goals. Yeah. Man said one. I'm on all of them, man. Bring any of them. If I had to pick Karim Adeyemi, because there's a bias to it, but yeah, man. I wouldn't my outside the choice. It's not going to happen, but a return of Daniel Marlin would be one. Thoughts on Martinelli's lack of game time? How far do you think he can go for us? No, I think he can go all the way. I think he can be. You've never heard me say it, but I think he can be a world-class footballer. I think he can be a Brazil international. I think he could be a household name in football. Lack of game time is frustrating. I do think fans overdo it, but yeah, man, I hope he gets his chance. If I'm completely honest with you, one thing that probably goes against him is you're not getting on that in that left as long as Odegaard and Smith Rowe appear fit, or there's a real drop off in how they're playing. DG, would you do a watch along of a Serie A game to watch what Vlahovic can do? I mean, I could watch it anyways. I've done a couple French league watch alongs. I mean, you know, we can see, I guess. I don't know where a club like ours gets a 20+ striker from. You have to make it, bro. I know it's easy to say, but they've got to be somewhere, bro. Half of these guys, bro. Isaac had to be somewhere. Kareem Adeyemi had to be somewhere. You know, Vlahovic had to be These men had to be somewhere. Like Lewandowski had to be somewhere. Go and find a brother. I wouldn't mind Kessié, he's a baller, but then you've got Kessié, Lokonga, Partey, they're all quite similar. I mean, like you said, if his contract's running up and it can be done, why not? But they're all quite similar for me. We can't grab Locatelli, but we need them Locatellis, them sort that, you know, when he's linked with Locatelli, Neves, the more sort of, I say, the Xhaka looking replacements when he was going to Roma. I think that's the avenue Arsenal need to go in, if I'm completely honest with you. That's just my opinion still. I mean, if he's not playing by Jan, he might have to go on loan. But saying that, Pepe's gone in Jan to go AFCON. I know you don't miss that much, but he's gone to miss a couple games. But this is how you get your opportunity, man. Gnabry, Aouar, Tony, for me, you're living a movie, bro. They're gonna ask for a stupid piece for Tony. You could have got Aouar for 50 million. Gnabry's probably gonna sign a new deal. I'm taking Basuma over Kessie. It will cost less, and he's Premier League proven. I'm not sure it will cost less if he's got a contract running down, if I'm honest with you. But then again, Basuma's probably 30, 40 million. 30 in the summer, I reckon, 40 in Jan, or just 40 or full stop. The light skinned brother, if I can remember correctly, Gino, Cody, if that's the light skinned brother, then he's all right. Don't think much. But that's the thing, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, bro. I just see, man, that, you know, games like that against Brighton, Dominic Calvert-Lewin would have been good. We might have been able to scumbag a little header or something. Like I said, outside chase. Prem proven doesn't matter. Kesse bossed Man United's midfield last season. To be fair, McFred is not hard, but I get you 100%, and you're right. Do you think players like Salah always had this level of potential? Is it more down to Klopp? We can find a player, but we'll develop him to his potential. I think, as Pep says, as a manager, you're just a facilitator, you know. You're just a facilitator. It's always been there somewhere. You know, you're just a facilitator. I think when you listen to Klopp, how he worked with Salah, in fact, how you hear Salah talk about when he went to Italy, the positions you need to take up to score. You hear that same trailer thought with Klopp. Then you could see it. I'd say where Klopp is, right? He's seen someone that to many were saying he's a flop. What, Mo Salah, he's a flop. He's this, that. He said, nah, bro, this guy can be 30, or someone can be 30. In fact, I remember seeing an article. I think it was Edwards or someone who suggested Salah. Klopp wanted someone else. I could be wrong. So that's the beauty of football. One man's trash is another man's treasure, you know. Again, Andy Cole weren't really rated at Arsenal. He went off to United once upon a time. Look how that happened, really. You know, so it's a bit of both. I don't think it sounds like a fairy tale, but I don't think managers turn bog standard players into world-class players. There has to be something there that is harnessed and developed. I'd say one thing that separates Salah and makes it easier, you can tell the man is fucking hungry. Hungry to prove people wrong, hungry to win stuff, hungry to be a legend, recognizes that, yo, I'm not going to be a professional footballer forever. So I would say that, man. Do you think Balogun and Martinelli already made replacements for Aubameyang and Lacazette? I'd have more faith in Martinelli, but no. Where Lacazette's concerned, none of them can hold the ball up and be a physical man like that. You saw Brentford against Balogun against Brentford, Martinelli against West Brom at the end of last season. In terms of Aubameyang, now you have to be given an opportunity. Historically, Aubameyang is a 20 league goal man. Historically, I know it's not quite been that Aubameyang, but historically. So then I'm looking at it and saying, yo, You can't be that then, because you lot can't. If a madness happens to them two right now and we forget the whole their young thing, are we gonna have confidence that you can grab goals? I don't have faith in it. I have more faith in Martinelli, but I can't have, apart from me supporting your team, I can't have faith. So keyword to that, Joe, ready-made? Probably not. In fact, definitely not. Yeah, it's true. I think Klopp wanted Brandt when he was good, but Edward said Salah. And this is why sometimes you need, as a manager, things can go wrong. This is why you need a man that can see other things and whatnot. Because if Liverpool ever sold Salah, how much are they making? And forget selling him, how much has he probably made them in terms of commercial revenue, bringing in, fans from all over Africa and specifically Egypt. Obviously, he's kissed the Premier League after 30 years with Liverpool. That's going to see you immortalized in Anfield folklore. And he's won Champions League. Now, Liverpool are accustomed to the Champions League. So I wouldn't really say that's a big one, but you get the point. It's bloody Champions League, ain't it? It must be nice. Afternoon, DG Nation. Hope you're all getting closer to your hopes, goals, dreams, and aspirations. Come on, Em. You know the thing. Big up my Chargy. Don't know. I like the thing already. Come on. I love guys like you, man. You already know what to do when you come into the live streams. Appreciate everyone who's hit the like button and supporting this right now, people. Good questions, really. Interesting questions Donny's asking. But yeah, people, I can't lie. I'm back again at 5 p.m. As I said, make sure you're here on Twitch. I'm off to get some lunch. I'm off to get a cheeky gym session in as well. I'm not even going to cap to you lot, people. It's been a while. I didn't have any time to I went once last week. So I'm trying to do 3 times this week. It's a bit of a busy week for me. So yeah, 5 p.m. Make sure you're there on Twitch. Please go on the YouTube community tab as well and get some of your questions in as well. There's no such thing as too many questions and things. Make sure you're supporting the thing and whatnot. Just before I get out of here, big up yourself, Paul. And I think Martinelli you have to be given a chance to show you can do dirt. So you're right there, man. But yeah, man. Yeah, one love to everyone, man. But yeah, you're asking next man for bite, Tino? Or what that, dog? What you having for lunch? You know me, man. Well, you don't know me because I'm not actually having the normal thing. Chicken sandwich, really a bit different. It's a humble chicken sandwich, and I don't really like salad like that, but I'll try some salad. Think I need to get the right blends of carbs and protein in because I'm extremely hungry, or the gym thing can't really bang right now. So yeah, man, it is what it is. But yeah, I hope to see you all at 5 p.m. on a serious note. Make sure you're supporting it on Twitch. One love to everyone that was here and hit the like button. God bless you lot. Stay in good health. Stay hungry. Make sure you all have a week to remember. And you know me, I hang around like a bad smell. I'll be back again, people. It's been fantastic. We've spoken about Brighton. We've spoken about some other stuff. We even touched on some Liverpool stuff. It's always fantastic to speak football with you guys. And that's why, for me, it sounds cliche, but it's never boring being here with you lot. Like, I feel like crying. I don't want to leave you lot, but I'm making this harder for myself. So yeah, please make sure you hit the like button. Have a blessed day. I'm out.
There's always that active red light defending.
I think it's like